Happy Tuesday, the best day of the week. Welcome to Much Ado About Gaming. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. My name is Jessa Blackthorne, and I'm so excited to be back with you for another episode of my favorite thing to do on Tuesdays, Much Ado About Gaming. And today we have a really cool, really fun show. Oh, promise, thank you. Oh, I love hearing that people love the show, so thank you for tuning in. Today's show is really fun and cool. I did kind of a thematic thing because I thought I would. We are doing the best space-themed WizKids games. So I have 4 awesome games to talk to you about today. I had to make sure that sentence made sense, and it did. Liberia, wow, thank you so much for tuning in. But we have some great games, 4 awesome space-themed games to bring to your table at a variety of player counts, play times. Definitely, I'm sure that if you're, interested in something new, you'll find something to love here. And I gotta say that I'm not a space-themed person. Space is cool, but I'm more of I like fantasy themes. But all of these games I find really fun and really exciting for different reasons, and I'm very excited to be able to share them with you today. So I hope you enjoy the show. Before we get started on that, though, we have to talk about the board game news. Oh, and Noodles, of course, our little penguin mascot over here in the corner. He says hello as well. He hopes you all are having a wonderful week. But let's get into the board game news. So, this, it's not a huge news item, it's not, groundbreaking, but it's something I wanted to talk about because it's really cool, and that is that we officially have photos for Grease Lightning, the game that I've kind of talked about a little bit the last couple of weeks. But I wanted to share these photos with you because they're really rad. They came out really cool and really fun, and definitely, if you're thinking about the game, you want to check these photos out because they're awesome. You can kind of see, it shows off the game components really well, and then we also took these really, really amazing, beautiful photos of it on a really cool background and theming, and I just think they're amazing. You really get to see the components, and you really feel the theme of the game, and you feel the vibe of the game, and I love photos that do that. I've seen some incredible photos like that of other games, not just WizKids games, but games from other companies, and I always find that when the photos really capture the feel of the game, it just enhances the experience and enhances the hype for the game. I'm getting even more hyped for Grease Lightning to come out because just how cool these photos are. We have, the one brand new photo that we have that was the first one in this cycle, and I'm watching because I'm waiting for it to come back around to it, is so rad. It's got the box and on the background, and I just think it's amazing. I think it's so cool. But you can see the shots right now off to my left here. They are amazing. And of course, Grease Lightning is an ancient Greece-themed racing game. It is coming out this month sometime. We don't know the exact date yet. But it is a 2 to 4... look at that. That's so cool. It is a 2 to 4 player game for ages 12 and up. It plays in about 45 minutes, and it is $34.99, so it's a great price point. It has a nice variety of player counts, and it has a lot of replayability because you can the board kind of changes as you're playing it. So depending on who's playing and where they place stuff, it changes the game every time. There's a ton of cool Favor of the Gods cards that change the game every time. Just a lot of cool, interesting stuff going on with it that really makes it really exciting. And it's definitely something that you're going to want to pick up, you're going to want to check out. Grease Lightning, this is by Kathleen Mercury and Mark Selmeyer. Definitely check it out. It's coming a little bit later this month. Keep an eye on the WizKids social media for that, and we will definitely announce when that release date is. But check it out, Grease Lightning. And of course, now we're going to move on to our feature presentation. So, kicking things off with, of course, the classic, the well-loved, the amazing Sidereal Confluence Remastered. As I said, this is a show about the best space themes games, and I could not do this show without mentioning Sidereal Confluence Remastered. It is an iconic game, it is spectacular, it is so much fun, and the Remastered edition just enhances it so much. This, of course, it has gorgeous cover art done by iconic board gaming artist Kwanchai Moria, and it really has taken the game to the next level. Everything that we've kind of enhanced in this edition. So it's absolutely something that if you love Sidereal Confluence and you want, to upgrade your version of it, definitely check this out. If you're curious about Sidereal Confluence, this is the edition to get. It is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Maybe I'll do an unboxing for it soon. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do that. But let me give you kind of a vibe of what Sidereal Confluence is. It is a 4 to 9 player game for ages 14 and up. It plays in 2 to 3 hours, so it's a little bit longer of a game. This is a game that, like, you bring to game night, and that's your game for game night, and it is absolutely worth it. It is a trading and negotiation game, where players represent alien civilizations that are trading resources and inventing shared technology. So you're doing a lot of different things with the trading and the negotiation, and you're trying to invent things, and it's really interesting because it's so much negotiation. It's a highly social game. A lot of crunchier games, I feel, tend to maybe not be so social, but this one has that social element in it, and I think that's really interesting and really fun. And another thing that is unique about Sidereal Confluence is everything is simultaneous, so players are all acting at the same time, so, this isn't a game that will drag because of one person having analysis paralysis. This is a game that is going to play really well. Really, it will never feel like it's dragging, and that's really interesting about it. Also, all information is open in Sidereal Confluence, so almost all information, except for players' bids and their victory points, all the information is there, so it allows you you have the ability to really strategize based on all the information on the board, and that is definitely something that's really unique and exciting about the game. Almost everything in the game is tradable, I should mention that, including sectors of your economy. So that, there's so much flexibility in that. And again, like I mentioned with Grease Lightning, there's so much replayability there because you can find a different strategy for trading and negotiating with each other every single time you play. Victory points are not tradable. I don't know why you would trade away your victory points, but you can't. Anyway, so, and the last most important thing to mention about Sidereal Confluence is that deals are binding, even across turns. So if you promise to do something for someone, this isn't a game where you can promise and then turn around and stab your opponent in the back. If you make a deal, you have to do it. So it adds an even greater element of strategy because you can't, promise something in the heat of the moment and then change your mind later. It's all binding, and that really enhances the experience. That's a good way to put it. So this is Sidereal Confluence Remastered. It is available now, and like I said, like you can see above my head, it is $69.99, which is a great price point because it has so many components to it, so many tokens, boards, beautiful cards, the art is beautiful, everything in this game is really beautiful. It's a really pretty game to look at. So, and you can kind of see that in these photos next to me, how gorgeous this game is. So absolutely check it out. Sidereal Confluence Remastered. This is my first pick. These are not in any particular order, by the way. But this is my first pick for the best WizKids space-themed games. And next up, we have a game that, oh gosh, sorry about that. We have a fun little game that, it's a little bit older. It's not really as well known, but I think it's really great. And that is Burke's Gambit. Burke's Gambit is a social deduction game designed by the late great Rob Yates. And it is gaming with sidekicks. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are talking about the best space-themed games. Number 1 was Sidereal Confluence Remastered, and number 2 we're just getting into talking about, and that is Burke's Gambit, which I am... So, anyone who knows me, like, in the gaming community knows I am a social deduction fiend. That's how I got into tabletop gaming. I will try any social deduction games. Probably most of my collection prior to starting at WizKids was social deduction games because I just find them so much fun. I like the social element. I like solving mysteries. And so it's my favorite genre by miles. And Burke's Gambit is an awesome example of that. It takes some inspiration from something in space that you may recognize. I'm not going to mention it, but you might know what it is. And it definitely, you can see it draws inspiration from that very famous space horror franchise, and it does something really interesting and unique with it, and I think that is so cool. So, in Burke's Gambit, players are trying to make it back to Earth, and on a ship where their engines have been sabotaged. And they are trying to also, some of the players are infected with alien parasites, and they're trying to figure out who's infected, who's not, but also they're trying to figure out who the saboteurs are, they're called acquisition support specialists, and they are trying to weed them out, and I almost said yeet them off the ship. I mean, eject them from the ship, in order to make sure that no alien specimens make it back to Earth. I'm having a hard time explaining this game, but it's really straightforward. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time explaining it, but let me see if I can make it sound the way as good as it is, because it's a lot of fun. Ministry of Dice, thanks for tuning in. I am doing great. I hope you're having a wonderful day as well. So like I said, the goal of the game is you are either part of the salvage crew, who are just the regular people on the ship, or you are an acquisition support specialist, who are the saboteurs trying to escape with the alien parasites. So your goal, if you are on the salvage crew, is to eject the infected player out of the airlock. But if you're an acquisition support specialist, your goal is to either let the infected player reach Earth, to kill all the other crew members, or to force a tied vote where nobody gets ejected out of the airlock. At the end of the game, the group votes on who to eject out of the airlock, and that's where that comes in. So it really, it's really about building trust. As with any social deduction game, it's really about building trust with the rest of your team so that you don't get voted out. There's a very popular online game that has kind of a similar concept, but this is definitely unique. This game incorporates a few different things. It incorporates cards, it incorporates dice rolling. So on your turn, you roll dice, and depending on the result of the dice roll, that's going to tell you what you can do on your turn. Players will also have health, so your health can get depleted. The acquisition support specialists all know who each other are, so a lot of social deduction games I find, like modern ones, they tend to, not like the bad guys to know each other, because it makes it more challenging, it's an interesting concept, but this one everybody does know, or all of the acquisition support specialists know who they are. One player is the captain, and then players either can use a die that they keep in reserve, or they can pull a die from the random dice bag and roll it, and then depending on the result, you resolve it or return it to the bag and then re-roll the die one time and resolve that result. I can't talk today. There's a lot going on with the gameplay with it, but it is so much fun. It is such a cool game. You can die in the game if you lose all your health, or there's actually a die symbol that allows you to insta-kill any other player. So, the randomness of having to die isn't always the most fun, but luckily Burke's Gambit plays in about 30 minutes. So because it plays in about 30 minutes, it's not a game that you're going to be sitting around for hours waiting for things to, things to finish up. And again, that's another thing that a lot of people tend to be frustrated with in the social deduction genre is when, they die early and they just have to wait hours and hours. And I understand that's frustrating, but in this game it plays quick enough that even if you die, you're not going to be waiting around for very long. Christine, thank you for tuning in. This is not a show about Dice Masters. We don't talk about Dice Masters on this show. But, definitely keep an eye on social media for any Dice Masters updates, and feel free to keep watching. We have some really interesting, cool games we're talking about today that I hope that you will, give it a chance. I think you'd really enjoy it. But, so the die symbols, you can damage each other, you can look at somebody's ID card to see what their role is, you can stall the engines, which cancels the next power-up for the engines, so make it harder for the ship to get back to Earth. There's a lot of cool different things going on in this game. One player is infected with the alien parasite, and that's the player you want to get off the ship, because if the player with the alien parasite makes it back to Earth, bad things are going to happen. Burke's Gambit, great social deduction game set in space. A lot of fun. And I highly recommend it. Obviously because, things have been closed, I haven't been able to play this one in a really long time, and that's kind of why I'm having a hard time describing it, because getting together a 4-player game night has been a challenge, but, things are opening back up now. We're having game nights with my friends really soon, and I am so excited to bring this one to the table again, because it has been so long since I've played it. I can't wait to pick it up again. Maybe I'll do an unboxing of it soon on the channel. Who knows? And it's only $19.99. Like, that's such a great price for a social deduction game. Quick and easy, pick it up. Definitely check it out. Burke's Gambit. That is my number 2 pick. And we are now going to move into the next game on our list, which I think is honestly a true hidden gem from WizKids, and that is a game called Europa Base Alpha. This game did not get the love it deserves. I will die on this hill. Space hill. This hill in space. It is an awesome game, and it didn't get the love it deserves, and I am so excited to be able to talk about it today. Europa Base Alpha is a game in which you are building bases on, it's the Jupiter's, what are those called? Oh my god. Moons. I forgot the word moon, guys. It's one of those days. On one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, and you're trying to build the grandest network of moon bases. These moon bases are made up of missile silos, communication towers, global command centers, personnel bunkers, and intergalactic transports. And you build the bases with cards and dice, but what's really cool is you can also hinder your opponents as they're trying to build bases. So all of the cards have 4 separate sections on them, and each section does something different. So the top section is it shows you what you need to build that base. The second section is called I think it's called the hindrance section. Is that the correct? Undermining. So you can play one of the cards in your hand and use that second section on it to undermine your opponent, which makes it either really harder for them to build their base, potentially stops them from building their base. It adds more challenge to the game, and so it's kind of like a take that element to it, but it doesn't completely block your opponent. It just makes it more challenging. Ministry of Dice, I don't know off the top of my head if the dice are marbly. I can check that though, and I will let you know on Twitter. I have my copy in the house, and I will go grab it after the show, and I will take a look and let you know. But the dice on this are really cool. They're really stunning. I really, really like the different designs on them. But, so yes, you play a base. Your base may be undermined by your opponents. Only 2 undermining cards may be played, though, if you try to play a base and your opponents are undermining it. So it's not like, you can play a base and everyone just dog piles on you. So there is additional strategy there, both for your opponents and for you planning on hoping to not be undermined. I mean, if you want to make the game a little easier, you can also just have 1 undermining card be played. But after that's all done, you roll all your dice up to 3 times, trying to roll the combination of symbols you need to build the base as shown on your base card. You can keep any of the results you roll, so, it's really about planning. And then if you build your base, you planned well, and then you move on to the next step. But if you don't roll the combination within 3 rolls, you can play as many cards from your hand as you rolled. You play 3 cards from your hand. To use the ingenuity ability on the cards, this is the next section. And the ingenuity card allows you to, it might add a bonus to what you're rolling. It, allows you to reroll something. It gives you an additional way to build your base, so it helps you. Players can also use their future planning cards, which are the very, very bottom section of it. And future planning cards kind of allow you to hope to basically, you play it under your player board, and then you can use the ability to help you build a base. So there's the cards have a bunch of different ways to help you or hurt you, and it's really unique in the way it plays. I cannot say I've ever played a game like this that has this kind of the way the dice construction in the game works. I've played a lot of similar games, but I've never found one that kind of hits the sweet spot like this, where it's really easy to learn and understand because of how well everything's laid out in the rules and how straightforward the gameplay is, but it's still fun and exciting, and I really like this. And it came out, I believe, in either 2018 or 2019, and did not get the hype it deserves. It deserves so much more hype. Check this game out, I'm begging you. Europa Base Alpha, it is $49.99, 2 to 4 players, and it plays in 45 minutes, so it's a nice quick game. Absolutely check it out. You can also check it out on our website, pick it up at your friendly local game store. Just get your hands on this game. It is so much fun. This is a game where you don't want to judge a book by its cover and really dig into it. It's so cool. That's Europa Base Alpha, my number 3 pick, and let's move on to the last pick, which is another game that I love, and it's another game that didn't get the attention it deserves, I think, and that is Star Trek Conflict in the Neutral Zone. So, as you may have gathered from the title, this is a flicking game, and you are flicking ships across a star map to collect energy resources to buy more ships, as well as acquire command points, which are how you win the game. So you're flicking your ships across the map to try and either collect the resources by landing on planets strategically, those are the maps next to me, or you want to use some of your ships to attack your opponent's ships, hopefully destroying them. There are several types of ships. There's collector ships and attack ships, and you pick what faction you are. You can either be Federation or you can be Klingon. So it's very thematically Star Trek, and it's so much fun. And flicking games tend to be messy and crazy, and this one really, I feel like, doesn't get too chaotic. The photos that you actually see next to me are from a game we played. So I was part of this game that is in these photos, and I had so much fun with this game. You can upgrade your ships, you can get new ships, and they do different things. They have different abilities, they have different skills. And you might recognize some of the ships, so you can get the USS Enterprise, you can get the USS Yosemite. So it really, it makes it extra fun because you recognize everything from the Star Trek universe. The game also, you're collecting dilithium crystals as part of the game. There are asteroids you can place on the table and use them to get in your opponent's way. We also included extra stickers, so if something happens with your stickers, we got you covered. But it is such a fun little game. It's not little, it's got a pretty big table presence, but it is so cool, and it is gorgeous. You got, a lot of images from the Star Trek universe. The maps are really nice. I love the, like, colorful sky, space stars kind of vibe it has going on. And I find this one a lot of fun. This is another one that I haven't been able to really get to the table, mostly because we still don't have a table in our apartment. So when we get a table, this is one of the first ones I'm going to bust out because it's a lot of fun. It's a great game, and definitely something... I should say I haven't gotten it to the table since the last time I played it before the pandemic. I have played it, it's been a while. And I cannot wait till it has not been a while and I can play it again. But this is Star Trek Conflict in the Neutral Zone. It is a 2 to 4 player flicking game for ages 14 and up. It plays in 20 minutes, so it's nice and quick too, so you can clean it up and start a new game. And it is $39.99. It has these really amazing 3-dimensional component discs for the different ships. So the components are really substantial and really nice. And I absolutely highly recommend it. This is my last number 4 pick for best space-themed WizKids games. Oh, wait, I had 5. I had 5 picks. I'm sorry. Look at that! You get a bonus! I forgot about this. I forgot I threw this one in at the last minute because I'm so great at planning. So let's talk about Cedars from Ceres Exodus. I have talked about this game before. I think I unboxed this game a while ago on the stream, but this is a really, really interesting game. It's really cool. So, Earth has, in the world of Cedars, this is like, it's like a whole world, and it's really, it's got a lot of really interesting lore. So, the lore, we're hoping, from what I understand, the designer is hoping to expand the lore, and it'll be even more interesting. So players are trying to build an ark so that they can evacuate colonies threatened by a phenomenon called the Black Force. So players are trying to build basically an ark or a ship to save, the living beings as they move into the stars. And each player has, they're representing different castes within this sci-fi world. Each player has negotiators, and those negotiators will use their influence to buy plans, either of unit modules to be built or to recruit crews to operate them. So players are negotiating, they're integrating new things into their arc, they're trying to build the best possible arc to help everyone escape. And then after 4 turns of negotiating, the Order will choose the most promising arc for immediate production. So the most promising arc is represented by the player who has the most points. Ministry of Dice, this is not based on a series of novels. I think it's kind of a lore they're building in the board game, inside like the board game universe. So it'll be really interesting to see how that expands, because there's a lot written, I believe. If you look online, it might be in French, because this is actually a French game that was very successful, that we published in English for the first time. But what I've read from the lore is just super fascinating, and I can't wait to see more of it, hopefully get translated, and see how it expands into the world. So this one is one I have not admittedly gotten to the table. I've watched people play it, and I will eventually get it to the table myself. But it is absolutely beautiful and seems like it's really fun, really cool. This is why I almost didn't talk about it today, but I wanted to talk about it because this one, it's really interesting. So there's a negotiation board in the center of the gameplay table, and that's how you kind of decide how players will negotiate. There's secondary crew, there's specialized arc cards, which kind of allow you to expand your arc and grow it. And this, I really can't wait to pick this up. I want to be able to really talk about this game, because it seems like it has so much to give. And as soon as I am able to really do a deep dive into this game, we're going to do an episode about it, because I am very excited. And it just seems so interesting. And that is Cedars from Series Exodus. It is a 2 to 4 player game for ages 14 and up. It plays in about 2 hours or 120 minutes, and it is $74.99. Worth every penny. There are a lot of components in this game, a lot of really beautiful art. It's definitely pick it up. I will be doing a deeper show on it as soon as I can, and I can't wait to play it. So I hope that you can't wait to play it too, because it's really cool. But that is our show for today, the best space-themed WizKids games. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we will have a new board game announcement, which I'm really excited to talk about. So definitely tune in for that. We've got some cool stuff going on, some cool stuff to talk about. I am doing we're doing like a new board game announcement with an unboxing. So absolutely tune in if you want to get like an exclusive peek at a game that has not been announced yet, but will be announced on the show. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really fun, and you're going to love it. I hope that you have a wonderful week. If you have any questions about anything you saw on the show today, leave them in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at @the_Blackthorne. Blackthorne is spelled with an E at the end. You can see that in the bottom left corner right here. And that's how to spell that. I would love to chat with you. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you stay safe. I hope you stay healthy. I love you. Noodles loves you. Have a great week. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.